There's no need to panic, Spurs fans. Yes, I know the Spurs are coming off of a really tough loss to the Phoenix Suns after one of their worst shooting nights of the season. However, I'm here to remind you there is no need to panic. This is not the norm for this new Spurs team, and I will explain why. What's good, Spurs Digest family? Bryan Colbert back with a Spurs post-game show. Compliments of Spurs Digest. We appreciate y'all showing love. We appreciate y'all commenting, subscribing, and doing all those things. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. Make sure you click the doorbell to get notified every time we post. We're going to keep great content coming to you guys. And it's never easy doing these after a loss, right? Because, you know, it's really easy to get negative, especially like we've seen y'all on Reddit. You know, we've seen you in the comments. Like, I understand a loss like this, especially when, you know, your star struggle so much in the first half against a really good Western Conference team. You're going to worry, but I'm telling you, there is no reason to panic at all. There is no reason to jump ship. It was just a 93-104 loss. Granted, it felt a lot bigger of a loss than it actually was. And I think we got to get into that. We're going to talk about all those things, but there is no real reason to panic because, again, we understand that this is a long season. There's 82 games in this season. So I'm here to be Mr. Positive today. If you don't want to hear Mr. Positive, don't listen to me because I'm going to be positive because I still think there is plenty of reason for optimism, even within this game where, like I said, they did struggle. Like they did struggle from the field. They struggled shooting one of their worst shooting nights, especially for Wembanyama. Now, I know a lot of people are in those comments. A lot of people on Reddit saying Wemby needs to stop playing so much on the perimeter. And I cannot disagree more. This Spurs team is at its best when Wemby is being versatile, when Wemby is showing an ability to get to the hoop, to play down on the block, but also stretch the floor. These teams struggle to guard a guy like this because, yes, Wemby has the length. He has that size that you want from a big man. But what makes him a unicorn is his ability to have this elite length and size, but still have guard skills, still be able to dribble on the perimeter, still be able to make a pass from the perimeter, still be able to keep defensive honesty. And that's what Wemby does when he's stretching and shooting from that floor. Yes, we know he's an elite defender. And yes, when you're 7'5", it probably does feel like it's a little easier to get a bucket on the block, but that's not what it's about. It's about putting your team in the best position to score. And I have no doubt that Wemby struggling so early, especially in that first half, not being able to score, is why everybody else struggled. Because it wasn't just a bad shooting night for Wemby. It was a bad shooting night across the board for this team. It was rough. There has to be a balance when you're watching a guy like Wemby. And when you look at that Sacramento Kings game where they got that win, Wemby was hitting. He was 5 for 9 from the three. And I think when you see some of the best games from the Spurs, it's when Wemby has an ability to be able to not only play down low, but also play in the perimeter. So don't jump ship just yet. Don't beat this kid down. I know it's crazy to see a guy that big on the perimeter, but this is a new league now. This is not the league that we grew up in, guys. Like, this is a different NBA, and this is what makes Wemby so special, is his ability to keep defensive honest. So I don't want him to stop shooting. I don't want to see him, you know, change his game or have them say, you know, just be a block guy. I don't want to see that. I want to see him be able to show this versatility, which makes him a unicorn and which makes him so special and such an intriguing prospect. Now, granted, I will say that third quarter, when they went on that run, Wemby spent almost majority of his time in the post, getting lobs, getting to the rim, getting to the free throw line, doing damage around the rim. But again, there's a balance, right? I'm not saying I don't want Wemby in the post. What I'm saying is the fact that he can wear on that perimeter, the fact that he will shoot, the fact that you do have to be honest when you're guarding Wemby, like, you don't want people sagging way off of him, right? And like, maybe they'll start to do it like as he continues to struggle. But I think Wemby has earned enough respect in this league to where you're going to be worried about his shot and you're going to have to put a hand in his face. And you're not going to want to leave him wide open. That is a great problem to have for the Spurs because, again, it allows other guys, these shooters that you've put around him, to get open and make shots. It just was a tough night. Shots were not falling, and you're going against a really good Western Conference team. However, I still think there's reason to be optimistic because even when I look at that third quarter run that we went on where we were able to score and kind of cut that deficit down after a really, really rough first half, I look at that and that means something to me. That means something to me, the way the Spurs were able to come out of a really, really ugly first half and respond and make plays and have effort. I mean, in that third quarter, I mean, they were getting to the hoop. They were getting to the line. They were hitting their shots, but they were also crashing the boards. They were aggressive. They were playing defense. They were doing the things that we have gotten used to seeing these Spurs do. And again, I've said this for the last 5-6 videos. remember what's happening right now. This was the first time we saw all the guys together. This is the first time we got to see the guys healthy. And they're all playing in roles that I don't think we can expect them to be, playing for long, or roles that maybe if they are playing for long, they're going to have to adjust to and get comfortable in. Because again, I don't think any of us would have imagined that Dev would still be coming off of the bench. But I mean, he's looked so good. He's looked so good off the bench. But I think all of us are like, oh, it's just a matter of time before he starts. But I understand why they haven't changed the starting rotation, because things have been working. This is an 11-win team right now. You know what I mean? They're only one win down from the Phoenix Suns. They came into this game tied with the Phoenix Suns as far as record was concerned. I think the Phoenix Suns have 2 less losses, but I mean, this is a good spot to be in for the Spurs. So when you have a young team, when you have all these new pieces and you're dealing with injuries, chemistry is so important. And I think that's why you haven't seen a mix up with the starting lineup, because these guys were just starting to figure out how to play together, how to work around Wemby. We were starting to see things really look good. I mean, we've seen this team go on a few win streaks. You know what I mean? I mean, they've won 5 of their last 7. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a team that has struggled so much with injuries and just getting their guys back. Sochan's coming off the bench. He's not used to that role either. He's a starter, and he looked pretty good on his way back up. Keldon, he has to adjust now because you have a lot more other guys coming off the bench that can score and do that. So you have a lot of things working against the Spurs right now, but somehow they're still able to compete every night, and they're still somehow able to be a winning team. So I think you got to look at that and be impressed. Yes, Kevin Durant went out early with an injury, but this Suns team has firepower, man. This Suns team can light it up. 29 points from Devin Booker. It's not something to bat your eyes at. I mean, this team is a team that can get it. And talking about positives, man, I got to show love to Devin Vassell, because again, he has been put in a role that he's not used to. Coming off of the bench like this is not something he's done much at all in his career, but he has made the most of it, man. He was lights out from the team that really, really struggled. He was a bright spot, and he's been somebody that, again, I know we're talking about keeping the consistency. However, I don't know how much longer you can have a guy like this coming off the bench, because he's so good on both ends of the ball. And when you look at that starting unit, 3 for 31 from 3. I mean, it's abysmal. It was a really, really rough game on all accounts. Everybody struggled to shoot, and it's just not the norm for the Spurs. I don't care what anybody says. That is not the norm. We hit our open shots. We move the ball well, and we find guys open. These guys just weren't able to hit. The starting lineup really, really struggled, but Dev was a bright point. And just shout out to him for being able to just withstand the changes, withstand the differences that comes with being a part of this team. And Dev has looked really, really good. He was very, very impressive. And I think, honestly, I talk a lot about Keldon being very consistent. Dev has been as consistent as it gets, being healthy. I'm very interested to see how him and Sochan's roles change. Do they keep them coming off the bench because the starting unit has played so well together? I'm not really sure, but all of these things come into play. It takes time. This is an 82 game season, but I think that the Spurs have I truly think that they have impressed. I think that they've outplayed what a lot of people thought they would do up until this point. And I think if you tell them that they're going to be missing their head coach, that they're going to have half of their starters injured and struggling with injuries and coming back and forth, I don't think you would think that this was a team that was above 500. But that's what the Spurs are. This is a team that is above 500. So there is really no need to panic at all. I know it's easy to panic when a team shoots so bad. But again, man, this is the Phoenix Suns, man. This is a tough game. And this is a game where it could have really went either side. If the Spurs hit some of these open shots, they could really make plays happen. And, again, I'm not trying to always be Mr. Optimistic, but to me, I see fans just upset. Oh, trade this person, get rid of this, blah, blah, blah. Why? Why? Are y'all not seeing what these Spurs have been doing, man? They have looked great. They've looked impressive. And I promise you, there are teams in this league that are terrified of this Spurs team. And before we go, I have to give a major shout out to Wemby, because yes, it's easy to talk about a loss and how bad he struggled, but I want to focus on the fact that this man was named the Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month for October and November, making him the first ever recipient of the newly introduced award. And honestly, guys, this might end up just being called the Victor Wembanyama Award when it's all said and done, because I want to highlight this because it shows really what's happening in San Antonio, right? Yes, it's not a ton of wins happening right away. No, it hasn't turned into a playoff run just yet. It's only been one season, guys. However, look what's happening right now. Look what Victor has been able to do around this league. This guy is still a kid. He isn't even close to his full potential, but he's already proven to be one of the best defenders in the NBA, if not the best defender. When I look at an accolade like this, it makes me look at it and say, okay, he is one step closer to being Defensive Player of the Year. Imagine him doing that in year 2 or year 3. Imagine what that means for a guy like Victor and for the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, we're already starting to see the narrative change around these guys. We're already starting to see veterans wanting to come play around this guy and help him. Chris Paul has said it. I'm here to help Wemby, help teach him, man. This isn't a better guy for me to play with at this point in his career. And I agree, man. I completely agree with that. Wemby is incredible, man. And just shout out to him, man. He deserves his flowers because what he is doing, man, getting Player of the Month in the West. Anthony Davis is in the West. Rudy Gobert, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, is in the West. And Victor took that crown, man. I'm just so grateful to have a guy like this on the team, man. And to me, this is why it's really hard for me to get down even after losses, because you see the potential in this team. You see what this team is going to be capable of, and it's all around Wemby. I hate that he gets so much hate when he has these rough games, because I don't feel like the love is loud enough when he has these incredible games. I don't feel like he got enough love for getting Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month. I really don't. I feel like if this was another guy, it would have been a lot bigger, and I'm not really sure why Wemby doesn't get the love he deserves. But I'm telling you right now, on this show, on Spurs Digest, we are going to give Wemby his flowers because that brother deserves it. For Spurs family, again, there is no reason to panic. There is a lot of things that you're going to see with this team, and it's going to take time. This is a young team that's dealing with injuries, losing out on their coach, and trying to figure out how they all fit together in these roles while dealing with all this outside noise. Because again, it is extremely loud for some reason when the Spurs struggle and when the Spurs lose. It gets really, really loud and it gets really, really negative. But we're not here for that because we know what this team is capable of. This is a team that is capable of winning. This is a team that is actually going to be fighting for a playoff spot. Like, you can see it happening right now, but you want to see those little things come together. It was a tough game. However, I do think there's huge positives to that. And then again, shout out to Wemby for that huge accolade, man. I cannot state enough how dope that is, man. How impressive it is to see a young kid come out and do this. And again, he's doing it without his head coach, man. So shout out to Wemby. And Chicago Bulls are next. We could very much get another win. We could get things back on track. And I'm excited to see that game as well. And I'm excited to talk to you guys, hear from you guys. How are y'all feeling about the game? Are y'all feeling down? Am I being too positive? Am I being too optimistic? Because to me, I look at this and it's just a good team lost to a better team that night. And the Phoenix Suns are a really, really good team. But I think the Spurs are a really, really good team. They are a scary team. And it's all around Wemby and these young guys that are coming back, that are getting healthy. So I'm expecting some good things from the future of the Spurs. This has been a Spurs Digest post-game show. Spurs, remember, don't panic. Stay positive. Good things on the horizon. I will see y'all when we take on the Chicago Bulls.